Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Redmen Originals Podcast with me, Paul Machin. Alongside me, I've got Chris Pajak and Chloe Bloxham. And stepping in as a last-minute substitution is Josh Williams as well.
TK style. He's going to get a goal and assist off the bench.
Yeah. Obviously, the fabulous brain behind Distance Covered on Substack. Do go and check that out if you haven't done so already. But yeah, we're going to be pulling Josh apart on this one and see if we can get him to get into any kind of trouble with the internet.
I said to Chris the other day when we were doing deep dive, I said Chris should have just introduced me as like I'm presenting today with Putin or something like that. It's not far off, mate.
We've got a busy old show today, a very, very busy old show. Obviously, Liverpool are through to the fourth round of the FA Cup. We're going to be discussing the 4-1 win over Barnsley. We will go back to the Arsenal game a bit as well, because obviously we didn't do a podcast after that victory or draw. Felt like a victory, but it was a draw. And then, we're going to talk a bit about January transfers and what have you as well. Before then, we've got a little clip from the latest episode of AXA Player Portraits with none other than Mohamed Salah and Dominic Szoboszlai.
If you can guess who is this guy, I swear to God, you were legends.
I don't think you will be happy at all about that. Show me again.
What's wrong with the...
Why is the left hand is 3 fingers and the right one is 4? There's a lot of things wrong. So. Look at him walking like this.
His stomach's like a ball.
Stop! We're listen.
Mine's good. Look at mine. Look at the blending on mine.
Yes, do head over to the AXA UK YouTube channel. The link is in the description underneath if you've not seen the episode yet. Head over there, drop a likely little comment as well. That'll be absolutely stupendous. The amazing fun. The random thing on that, one of the dads on the playground the other day came over to me and he said, "Oh, Paul, I did a hernia over Christmas." I was like, "Oh, great, thanks for filling me in on this one." And he was telling me the details of how bad it is to have a hernia, and it sounds absolutely, utterly horrendous. But he said his wife, because he's a blue and his wife's a red, and she sent him the full video of that with the Szoboszlai stuff, and he said he basically had to like hold his sides in while he was laughing.
Because he's in pops again.
Yes, so that's how good it is. It's so good that it could literally make your hernia worse. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, please do so. One last bit of sort of housekeeping before we crack on with the footy. Our app is out. We'll be telling you more about that endlessly because we're so magnificently proud of it. But we have had a little thing running where anyone who downloaded the app got themselves into a prize draw to win a Liverpool shirt, and that prize draw wheel is right here.
That looks like a lot of names.
That is a lot. That's a lot of downloads. It is a lot of names. But if you have downloaded the app right now, then your name is on here. So let's spin it. I've never used this one before. So let's hope for the best. Let's have a little drum roll, everyone.
I can't even see that it's moving.
Spinning / pulsing.
It's broken.
Still.
CB19.
It's me, everybody. It is me.
I was thinking Conor Bradley.
I've got no idea who that is.
Oh, good.
It's not me.
Well, fucking hell, Chloe. Chris questioning the legitimacy of the wheel. You saying it's fucking you. Can we just... This is
It was my initials followed by... You know, we did win 20 last year. Not quite. But, like, you know, we were on 19 league titles up until last year, so it could have, in theory, been
19
me.
YNWA. Yeah, cool. Congratulations to CB19. We'll presumably be in touch. I don't know how that works. That is a Steve Hall problem.
Figuring out who you are.
But thank you to everyone who has downloaded the app, and thank you so much for all the feedback. Obviously, if you're enjoying it, please do let us know. You can rate it on the app stores as well. But don't
be sly with the ratings, lads.
Oh, I know. I mean, like, you could be a prick about it, like, I mean, if you really wanted to, but you could be a prick about everything in life. If you have genuinely enjoyed it, then do let people know, because it's been amazing. The amount of work that's got into it from Chris and Steve and everyone really has been amazing. Finally, it's here and it's great. Check it out on the app stores on your phones. And is the iPad version?
It's very, very close.
Okay,
it's very, very close. Yeah, it does technically work on the iPad, but there's some problems with it. So the next update should be by the end of this week.
Amazing. So yeah, it's an ongoing process. So yeah, if you've got any feedback, then you can help to improve it, and it gets better with every iteration. So fabulous. Okay, so let's go back to Thursday last week. First and foremost, Liverpool got a big old draw with Arsenal. Josh, 3 consecutive draws in the league. But did the Arsenal one feel quite significant compared to the others in a good way?
Yeah, well, I think one recurring theme lately is we go through patches where we're playing okay, but every single time it seems to be the end of the game in particular, it's just disaster, and we end up at panic stations and we just about get over the line and all that. I think the Arsenal game was the reverse of that, where we end the game really well, so as a result we all come out the game feeling pretty happy with what we saw. There's something about as well Liverpool going into a game as like widely perceived underdogs and actually delivering and coming out with a decent result that we would have all probably taken before the game, where you're like, you know, I can have that. It's been a while since Liverpool felt like underdogs against Arsenal, but this was one where I think none of us expected us to get any points, I don't think, so I was happy with it.
I was going to say, Paul, do you think there's like, obviously Slot wants to get us to be used to being, you know, the favourites in games, but our natural sort of thing, Josh points out, we are better underdogs, and we've kind of always been better underdogs, certainly while I've been watching Liverpool, you know, we were the favourites, 70s, 80s, it was always going to be us. It is something difficult maybe to learn to always be the favourites in games.
Yeah, I mean, we're a much better version in that regard of like when you hear like Spurs managers complain about their attitude towards things sometimes, like we definitely expect, I think we thrive in the underdog role because that's what we've been conditioned to for 30 years probably at this point, a bit more. But actually what I liked about it, because this is one of the things I said in the summer, I think Slot's job and Richard Hughes' job was to stop Liverpool from behaving like that and start to get them used to the idea that they're supposed to be the biggest fish in the pond.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I don't think it's worked out that way, obviously. But that's one of the things I enjoyed most about that Arsenal performance was we started like underdogs, and we were sat here on the watch along, and it was quite nervy for the first 20 minutes, and then we had a couple of flutters in the first half, which kind of gave you signs of hope. But I'd have been happy with that, because I've seen that before, where like a classic Rafa Benitez away European performance, where you get everyone behind the ball, you strike on the counter, you maybe grab a goal and by hook or by crook, and that's it. I think Inter Milan was a bit like that in some regards, but for us to basically come out in the second half and just take the ball and have the ball and have it all our way felt like a really nice transition between we're underdogs and back to the wall too. Actually, no, we're quite good at this. And I thought it was kind of just lacking that moment, the goal, just to stick one in off someone's arse, for it to be a really celebrated thing, as opposed to it feeling good for those in the know, but maybe not from the outside.
I think that's right, isn't it? I mean, the performance in the second half though was brilliant, wasn't it? You know, the way we just took the ball pretty much for the entirety. The fact that when we were doing the watch on, we were like, do you know, Liverpool have had more average possession now than Arsenal, because we were so down in the first half, but we took the ball so much in the second.
We were up to like 70% possession at one point.
I know, but the problem is we just didn't have that, you know, killer instinct maybe to get into the sort of final third and create something, Chloe, but that can be explained by Arsenal are the best defence maybe in Europe at the moment.
Yeah, it can also be explained by the fact that Hugo Ekitike, who's been one of the sparks of our season so far, wasn't available. You had Jeremy Frimpong, who's been a right wing back, playing at right wing, and look, I think the last several games we've started to realise Jeremy Frimpong and what he can offer, and I like what he can offer to this Liverpool side, but you can also tell that he's been playing as a right back / right wing back for his career, because, you know, he goes through clean in one-on-one, all he has to do is nestle it across the keeper, and instead what he does is he does what any right back does, who probably isn't the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold, who does back himself, and he tries to find someone else to put the ball in the back of the net, because that's what you do really as a right back. You don't have that instinct, or right wing back, that instinct to really back yourself and take it on if there's
maybe
a better
learn from that, by the way, because he certainly did that last night.
Exactly. Especially on his weak foot as well. The other one is literally on a strong foot. But from me and from everyone inside the grounds, we all felt horrifically nervous at half time. But then you were speaking to people and you were going, yeah, but we're only feeling nervous because they've actually had the ball, because really, what have they done with that ball? And that was the thing. Liverpool frustrated them. They sort of grew themselves into the game. We knew it wasn't really sticking up top with anyone, but we did have the best chance of both halves. You had Jeremy Frimpong, where if he just shoots, and then Conor Bradley, who obviously hits the bar. But that second half, that was a side that was like, we've beat yous in the season and yous rocked up to Anfield and was petrified to play us. And we've come here and we've frustrated you for 45. You created hardly anything. We're actually going to take the game to you.
And then we started to dominate.
Exactly. And
that fear must have come from the fact that we've been rubbish in second half, though.
Yeah. But, you know, I think also, I think Slot came around and said, like, we've done this every game. Have you been surprised? But I just don't think we have done that every game. Like, I genuinely don't agree with that. Like, and maybe it is because I was expecting...
had loads of sterile possession and not scored goals.
Well, yeah.
When you frame it like that.
It's probably switched to halves, though. It's probably switched to halves. That's probably the thing.
It's confused us. We didn't know how to feel, did we?
Yeah, exactly. We keep ending games in just such a miserable way, and we forget about the periods in the first half when we are doing the sterile possession stuff. So I can see where he's coming from, but I also, if you can go and do that at the Emirates against the best team in the league, people are going to be happy with that, mate. But if you can go and do that against Leeds at home and you can't score and you can't break them down, it is a bit different. Like,
can I ask a question? That I was speaking to your dad earlier, and he mentioned, you know, intensity, tempo, all of these things that we absolutely thrive off as a fan base. And he turned around and went, I just don't think that's ever how we're going to play in the Slot. Like ever. Like, and I was thinking, I was like, what are we trying to play? Like, then does anyone expect us to have periods of games where we will ever get back to that unbelievable intensity, where we're high press and where we're doing all that? Or do you reckon that's just not part of the identity that we're going for anymore?
Yeah, I do.
That's all, shall I?
Well, Chris did like 14 pages on this on the podcast last week.
Front and back.
Front and
He
back.
did.
18 pages it was, Paul. Come on.
But like, do you actually like? I don't see, like, if we're not doing that now against
I thought, look,
Barnsley, then I'm not sure.
The thing for me, I think, I'm trying to work out which press conference it was now because the games have been there's been a lot of games recently. I think it was the pre-Arsenal press conference, maybe. And I thought it was because I'd walked out of this podcast feeling really down in the dumps last week, and then I went away. I know, and then I went to do James Alcott's podcast, and he was asking me questions about what the future is, and that made me really sad because I had no idea, didn't even know what formation we're meant to be playing, let alone, you know, and what Liverpool going to look like in 2029. I honestly, are they going to go away from wingers? They're going to go to more narrow sort of tens.
Well, when we're behind, we'll have 5 strikers on the pitch.
I haven't got a fucking clue. And then there was that the McAllister quotes about things behind the scenes and all that, and I was feeling really down in the dumps. And then I had, by the by, to Boslai's interview, which was great. But Slot's press conference really sort of like cheered me up, and I think it was because it was an admission of him that we're not really. He understands that, he recognises that people aren't enjoying it, and I thought, and he come across quite like sad to find out that like people aren't having it, and maybe not having him as a result. But it was the fact that he kind of said, well, no, that he kind of relayed out what it is that he wants, and he mentioned high pressing, and he mentioned that's what I want from my sides. So, in answer to the question, we've not really had that, and we've had it in spells. But it's whether you take it on face value or not, and it's whether this is, you know, we've had a lot of conversations. Chris kind of said this, but like, if pressing has stopped working, or if we don't have what it takes behind the ball to press correctly, it is maybe giving it up for a while, but the aim might be to get back to it at some point in the future, would be my thinking.
It's so difficult, isn't it? Because I think it all plays into it. You know, everything plays into it, because I think Liverpool have struggled in the build-up phase. Because of that, they've ended up dropping Curtis Jones into the sort of defensive line, which gives you one less body going forward, so it makes it harder to break down the low box and stuff. But it has made us more solid because we've got one body further back. And it's that sort of balance, isn't it, between, you know, rest defence and attacking and, you know, breaking through the thirds. And that's at the moment where I think Slot, if you imagine it as a sort of whatever, Slot's just gone back a little bit and gone, we've got to keep it shut at the back, we've got to, and that's affected the attacking side of the game. At some point, maybe you get better players, and maybe that makes the system better to be able to go out and press and win the ball. But You know, I don't know why he's surprised. Nobody enjoys driving the car at 15 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we were driving at 70 with Jürgen.
Yeah.
Now we've slowed it right down, and we're wondering why it's shit.
But but my argument on that is just to stretch the analogy further. If the roads are icy, fine. Drive at 10 miles an hour. If the roads are icy, because the second you put your foot to the floor, you go flying around the corner, and that's absolutely game over. And that kind of.
But by the way, I enjoy that.
Flooring it and
no, I enjoy driving on the ice because I like to feel the limit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Games in the balance.
I like to live life dangerously.
Yeah, but not in the footy. Yeah. Not in the footy.
Well,
That's
I nearly crashed.
Doesn't work.
Well, listen, I nearly crashed into my wife's car the other day. So, like, on black ice, without even, like, you know, I was crawling along.
Yeah.
And these things can catch you.
Do you know the best one I ever did, right? I was driving home from Owens. It was about midnight. I was working at a chef at the time.
The restaurant, not a friend of his.
And yeah. And you go down Chilwell Valley Road, so where I lived at my mum and dad's, and you take a little left onto Painting, and I couldn't see, and I hadn't scraped my windows well enough at all, right? But I knew there was a big white spray painted mark on the tree, yeah. Right? So I had my window open and I saw the tree with the big white mark on it, and I turned left, right, and I fucking banked the curb straight over the grass and nearly into a wall, because every tree's got a big white patch on it on Chilwell Valley Road. And I just committed. I just went, yeah, this is it. Boom! Oh shit! And I was like, head out the window, like, that's a wall. Yeah. Okay, better stop.
And this is the man complaining about the speed of Liverpool's play this season. Right, so cool. Take it all with a pinch of salt, if you will. But yeah, look,
I've not done that, but I'm thoroughly bored.
Yeah.
So if you want to believe me, or listen to me instead.
But Josh, that's kind of the thing, isn't it? You'd like to think that we'll get back to that. And it's a question of whether across the league that thing's less sort of effective or whatever. And that was one of the points that we didn't really truly pull on, because we were talking about the teams that archetypally press in the Premier League and not having.
They're all struggling.
They're all struggling as well. So we'll all go, we'll press more, you dickhead. And he's like, well, if I press, we get absolutely killed.
I think the problem I have with that is I don't think Liverpool are very good at pressing when we do. It feels like even last night against Barnsley, there was times when just Chiesa went and then he's looking around going, where's everyone else? Or Curtis Jones went on his own, and that's the thing, isn't it? When you stop doing it, you stop working on it, and when you stop working on it, you can't go as like a net.
And I do just to take that on a step further, Josh, stylistically, the issue I think we've got is that we have loads of possession. And Barnsley was a great example of this, because it's a League One team. It's a lower end League One team as well. We had loads of men in their half. We had 75% possession, but at no point did we feel like we've got them absolutely hemmed in here and they're fighting for their lives. You know, like they're hacking things clear, and it's all on edge. It feels like we get up to that place, play it round, maybe we'll lob one in, and then it breaks down, and then it'll get. You know, they'll take a goal kick and they'll get out, and then we'll meander back into these kind of situations. And it's that where actually the pressing almost needs to get better, because that's kind of what you need to do to keep them on their toes. Is you make the pitch into sort of 40, 50 yards and then really get in the faces on top. But it feels like we're kind of not. We're going through the motions of it almost, because the problems still lie. You're playing against Barnsley, or you're playing against Arsenal, or you're playing against whatever. It's still very simple to smash it to some fast lad to chase us down and get us into problems.
Yeah, I think one of the important things to remember about the press, I wrote this in a piece yesterday, is just I don't think we can forget how bananas it was at the start of the season, when it was basketball and we were scoring late winners and we were getting cut open a lot more and stuff like that. People hated that, and people were calling at the time to go back to basics. That was a common criticism of Liverpool. Go back to basics, rein it in a little bit, Slot go a bit less nuts with his subs after 60 minutes, that sort of thing. I think we have done that as a response to the turbulent November period that we had, and one of the things we've reined in has been the press. I'm missing it just like everyone else is, but I kind of give him a pass a little bit, because I think it's temporary. I don't think this is like Liverpool now moving forward forever or anything like that. I think this is just as a means of getting through a period where you maybe don't have the profiles to press at the moment. You don't really have the confidence to press. So that's one thing. I think it's temporary. And I think two, we're unbeaten on the back of it. I know it's not the best run. It's the most miserable unbeaten run in history. I tweeted today.
Perhaps your greatest quote of all time.
Yeah. But we haven't lost, and the defence is a little bit quieter. Still suffering from the odd little moments here and there. Still suffering from set pieces, as Arne Slot keeps reminding us. But generally, we're not as bananas as we were in November, in October, and that's largely as a result of toning down the pressing a little bit and being a bit more almost streetwise. But when you do it, rather than just being relentless, like we are a pressing team, you're doing it blind, and you're just doing it like because it's you. It's been a bit more like pragmatic, a bit more, doing it with a safety net in place.
The problem with recruitment then?
I think that's in there, yeah. And, if you look at the team that Klopp managed and the profiles he was asking to press for him, Mane, Firmino, Diaz, peak Salah, who was like really fast, really explosive off the mark. So even that just like put the shits up the opposition and things like that. But I think now we look a lot more lightweight with that. We've got players who are up top who can't really last beyond the 70-minute mark. So I don't really think.
Well, it's who's getting it. You're in a fight, and that's what the Klopp sort of pressing thing is. Everyone's in this together. We're in a massive pitch-wide scrap, and when you go, you want to turn and look at who's on your side. And those teams had Henderson's and Millers and Wijnaldum's, and then even Mane's and Diaz's and even like Darwin. There was a guy stands by me that actually just hated Darwin Núñez, but he was like, even had to admit he was kind of missing him a bit because, and one of it was he'd have absolutely ran over and webbed Martinelli everywhere for doing that to Conor Bradley was one thing, and I think that's been quite a universal response after the Arsenal game. But there is that, and I made this point a few weeks ago about more like the midfield of like how many players have we got there who genuinely just love winning the ball back. But then you play Arsenal and they all look great. But of course, I don't think Arsenal in the midfield are quite as aggressive as maybe Liverpool were in the under Pete Klopp, I suppose. But you do need to have a few more, I don't know, just bastards in your team.
How many of Liverpool's attackers at the moment would you label as like hungry, like industrious? Nate, tell me.
I think Wirtz is, but maybe not in the way that you're talking about.
Like a Lallana way, that, isn't it?
A little bit more. I think he
understands. He's the kind of guy I think he relishes getting a toe in, but he does not want to be in a 50-50.
I think you could make a case for Chiesa, but Chiesa is obviously not the future of the team, and he doesn't really play much. Gakpo for me is just a really nice guy. Honestly, he just is. It's just quite clearly super nice, and you don't want a super nice player leading your high press.
I think the biggest problem though, and I did talk about this last week, is you haven't got the right forward profiles. Agreed completely. I think the midfielder profiles is where we really struggle, because you think back to Jurgen's, it was a 4-3-3 and we pressed with three forwards. You think back to what Liverpool are doing now and we're going with a 4-4-2. So there's one less body and people are building around us too easily because there's two people to press three of them. Minimum three, by the way. Sometimes teams build with, four or whatever, few and far between, I'll admit that. So you're already one body down, whereas that is the conservative thing. That is, we've got to keep the door shut. We're going to drop an extra body into one of the deeper thirds, and therefore we can only press with two. You can't press three with two really in the same way, can you? Whereas when we had Mane, when we had Firmino, when we had Salah, we were also backed up with Wijnaldum, Fabinho, Henderson, and if we maybe had another Szoboszlai and a proper maybe ball hawk of a DM, you can replicate that a little bit. Szoboszlai's got the physical attributes to be able to get there and do what those other players did. So I think we end up dropping someone in midfield because those three can't do it, or any three that we've got, and therefore it's left us one short up top to do it. So it is difficult to get back to it in the way that we did, which is trusting a 4-3. But you have to have the best players to do it like that. You can't half-arse do a 4-3-3 press. You're going to get eaten apart.
This was kind of the point I made, and I meandered a bit on it last week. I don't think I made it as clearly as I wanted to. about what I was saying last week is like that final step from like third or fourth or third up to first, second. It's a massive leap, but it's actually the shortest drop off. So when it starts to fall apart, it's dead easy to go from being an unbelievable team to being quite a mediocre team, and then all of a sudden you're back to that huge step up to get there. But it just feels like to me, like again, we're really jumping ahead, but you know, you could fix that. You can fix that in the transfer market. It's just you need to stop buying nice footballers. You could buy 3 really gnarly, and they don't need to be like Groks. They don't need to be talent. You don't need
like
to go buy
Stiller or something like that, maybe.
Ben Stiller. Well, yeah, Zoolander. You know, can only turn one way. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I don't know who that is. But
are we talking midfielders or forwards here or both?
I think you could buy, if you bought two wingers and one midfielder who were just absolutely love a fight, and again, not fucking Ugate's. I mean,
like Elliot Anderson or something, you can play as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Again,
Caicedo would have been a good one. I mean, we wanted him as well,
100%. You know, like
wants the ball and
yeah, exactly. But again, what Diaz's and Mane's, you know, what I mean, that type of thing. You're really good footballers who actually just love the physical side of the game.
I think you could even throw Diogo in there as well. I think Jota was
100%.
He got labelled as a pressing monster on numerous occasions. I think by Linders and that. So that was one thing Liverpool got right on the year, and it was recruiting players in the front line who really represented the defensive game.
Let's say it again. Diogo Jota would be here this season.
Yeah,
and he would be someone in that squad, you know, who would be doing that and would be setting the example from the previous season as well. You know, all of a sudden, you know, and we don't know how that might have changed the approach, whether it would have altered the move for Isak or Ekitike, but having someone else there who, you know, because not Salah. Salah's like the only Salah and Gakpo, and you're right, they're both quite passive in the way. Salah, because he's definitely been instructed to, and he's in that stage of his career where he clearly thinks, well, you know, I'm the main man and let me be the main man. And Gakpo just thinking in style, but Jota's just loved it, didn't he? Just absolutely loved getting in people's faces and little kicks to the ankle and coming away with it and stuff. So yeah, we've spun away massively from the footy, which is fine because it's all interesting stuff. But just to get back to the game, because I think it's an interesting conversation, because the way I was thinking about that game, and again influenced by the people around me at the match, that when it was 2-1, we get into the second half, it was like, oh God, it was so fucking drab again, Chloe. But we score the third and fourth, and you do walk out with a bit more of a spring in your step. And one of the things, while we were waiting, you were filming your video by the car, and I heard a guy getting into his mate's car over the road from us go, oh my God, that was the absolute best day of my life. Thank you so much for bringing me. And he was like, you can see me, he'd gone to Anfield, possibly for the first time. He'd seen us score 4 goals. There'd been some funny moments in amidst it all. Book our place in the next round. And for his level of like engagement and enjoyment, absolutely amazing. So but it is mad, because I think without the third and fourth goals, I think we're all probably going a bit meh. But when you score 4 in a game of football, and the only goal comes from your best player being an absolute idiot, then what? I mean, I know you wanted 10.
Yeah, I did.
And you're always going to be disappointed.
I was always, yeah.
I wanted 4, remember?
You did. Did you walk out happy?
I walked out happy than you two, that's for sure.
I think the mad thing is it was 4-1 in extra time. And you turn around to people around you, and everyone's like, yeah, it's 4-1. But it wasn't a vintage performance. It wasn't someone who looked, 3 leagues higher than their opposition. It wasn't someone who...
We basically scored all 5 goals.
I mean, we did, basically, yeah. But I think everyone was just like, we didn't cause them too much trouble. We didn't.
I think if Szoboszlai had backheeled it actually at the goal, I think he'd have had less chance of them. Anyway, Karen.
Have you just put them down a division, by the way? Are you saying because they're 17th,
in my head,
you're basically League 2?
Division, my head, League 1, yeah, whatever. But for me, I think people were talking to each other going, yeah, but did we create many clear-cut chances? Did we break them down. You know, it took until the 84th minute for Liverpool to kill that game of football off. Yeah, we could have done it a little bit earlier. Florian Wirtz misses one with the outside of his foot, Sobo with an incredible pass. But Liverpool didn't pose a threat that everyone expected. And I think because we went so strong, everyone was like, well, look at how ruthless City are. Look at how ruthless such and such are. I think you look at other teams and you go, well, Liverpool should have that sort of ruthless nature. But really...
But wasn't that us being ruthless? Because we haven't had that, where your good players just turn up. I mean, we scored... We had like a bunch of lads who just went, oh, fuck this, and scored
we
goals.
basically won the game because of our finishing, didn't we?
Yeah.
Rather than the chance creation, the finishing was what got us over the line.
But I think because people looked at it from a perspective where at times it was still quite slow and Liverpool struggled to break down the team, and it took until 84 minutes for you to go, we're safe, we're through. Do you know, it took that long. I think people go, it wasn't a vintage performance because, you know, Liverpool in theory should be out of sight, out of mind in when you come up against those sides, because you expect for a lineup that strong to really put a team to the sword, to gain more confidence for yourselves, to do all of these things. And I also think, you know, at least 3 of the goals for me are just absolutely brilliant. Like Sobo's is an outrageous shot. Frimpong absolutely thunders one past the keeper, cuts inside on his weak foot. The Florian Wirtz one is the best bit of play in the entire game, with Hugo Ekitike's back heel. But like, it was still an incredible finish. It was still on the edge of the area. Do you know, so it wasn't like Liverpool were free-flowing and these kind of things, which I think a lot of people expect. And like we mentioned,
that goal was free-flowing though, come on.
That one was, but it took 84 minutes. And then, you know, the fourth one is a ball over the top where, you know, the first-time pass is brilliant and Hugo Ekitike is always going to finish off those chances. But I think just from a perspective that a lot of people go into the game having this kind of ruthless mindset, and Liverpool took 84 minutes to kill a game off. Yeah. You just can never rate, because all it takes is how many times a season has someone hit a shot from miles out and it's gone in against us, or it's took a deflection. And even though, like you said, you didn't think they were going to score in that second half, there was a part of me that just thought, one of these lads are just going to hit a shot from 40 yards out, and for some God knows reason, it's going to go top bins. Yeah. Because that's just how it feels. And
as it turns out, they did. They just all played for us for a change, which makes a refreshing change. But I mean, and that's fine, because I think we all feel that. But that's just anxiety, isn't it? And of course, it's anxiety this season based on loads and loads of evidence. But it's one of my thoughts of things on this was it's the FA Cup third round, and we were having this conversation when we were walking in of whenever we go, this is a team we should be battering. We very rarely do, and it's funny because I was like, I can't remember any. We beat Accrington Stanley 4-0 last season, so I had completely expunged that one from me memory.
That, so it's okay.
But you know, I was just looking back at some of our third round results over the years. We beat Shrewsbury 4-1 in 2002. We obviously drew 0-0 with Plymouth Argyle in 2017. I think that was a game where we ended up with, like, I don't know, was that or maybe the replay where we ended up with Enrique and maybe Thiago Valori at centre half or something, early days Klopp. 2-2 with Exeter City in 2016. We beat AFC Wimbledon 2-1 in 2015. Oldham 2-0 in 2014. Mansfield 2-1. Suarez had to come on and basically cheat us into the next round on that one. The chairman of Mansfield coming out and calling it a disgrace off the back of it. We did beat Oldham 5-1 in 2012. Reading 1-1 in 2010. And look, I can go on. It's my general, what I'm kind of driving is just kind of how third round FA Cup games go a lot. Is for that us. For us, yeah. Because
you could look at Man City and it's 5-0, 9-0, 10-0.
Yeah, every time you try to compare yourself to Man City, you end up doing your head in. Is kind of the other side point of this as well.
Yeah, I'm a little bit whatever on us, to be honest. I think the fact that we win 4-1, it's good finishing. I do think there was an element of almost stooping a little bit to their level, you know, where like you almost know that you can win this game at third, fourth gear, and I think we saw that with the Szoboszlai thing. I agreed with their manager after the game. I don't even think it crosses his mind in a Premier League game. There's no chance. There was a moment where their number 7, I think, was O'Keefe. Curtis Jones receives the ball and he just basically charges out He was a bit like that throughout the game, to be honest, that number 7. He was a bit nuts, but he charges out, tries to regain the ball off Curtis. Curtis does the whole, like, you know, getting his body in between the ball. And he just kind of keeps doing it. The lad's really lashing out and trying to get the ball, and he can't get it. And the ref blows for a foul. And Curtis Jones is laughing. He's smiling. As in, like, come on, mate. Come on, man. You're trying to get the ball off a Premier League footballer here.
Well, it was like a 14-year-old playing with his 11-year-old brother.
A bit, yeah. I think there was a bit of arrogance in there, a bit of complacency in there as well.
That's very specific.
In Liverpool, South Liverpool.
One of them's an Evertonian.
In 1996.
But I do think there was a bit of arrogance in there, though, with the performance, a bit of complacency, and that's normal, by the way.
You saw it with Virgil van Dijk in one of their attacks in the first half, where he shepherds this guy, but it's all done very like,
and
come on, mate.
He gets a shot off as well, though.
He does, and he then goes and goes, oh, and you're like, who are you angry with, mate?
Yeah.
You're angry with yourself because you could be angry maybe the ball got there, but in reality, you could have just stepped in and sorted that, but he didn't. And I think that you're right. I think you saw that from a few performances of like going like,
yeah, like we didn't.
It's easy to play down to the opposition, though, isn't it? It's everyone's been in a 7-a-side game where someone hasn't turned up, and the team with 7 should batter them, but they don't because they just take it too easy, and it makes it into a fight. Like, and the team with 6 works dead hard because they're a man down, and you don't.
Yeah,
everyone's been there.
Yeah, it just would be nice to go back to the point. It would be nice for us to just be even more ruthless, I guess. You know, like go and do that kind of thing.
I think what we're all craving is to look convincing. We all want to come out of a game thinking we created loads there, loads of tap-ins, didn't really give anything away at the opposite end, and we deserved to win that game. But even in this one, you know, it was relatively boring. Even though we scored 4, we didn't create that many clear-cut opportunities. It was probably the Verts one that was the biggest in normal time. And we end up getting out of there with 4 goals, largely because they were 4 really good finishes. So I understand where everyone is. Like, I think it's a normal way of thinking. Yeah,
I do. It is, and it just skews it. And the counterpoint to this is, if we had scored 10 and we'd been ruthless from minute 1 to minute 95, I don't think we'd all be sat here still going, well, this is it. That's definitely it. We'd be treating it as a sideshow. We'd actually end up probably disrespecting it more. You know what I mean? Because you'd be going, it's only League One.
Yeah.
Barnsley, come on, what do we do? Now we've got to go and prove that we can do it, whereas, it kind of is what it was. I just want to talk about a few more individual performances. Frimpong, we've touched upon him already, but I'll go a bit more into him. Chris, obviously, plays right back in this one, and yet still got into all the areas that you want him to get into and cause the same sort of level of problems. There was a little, I think, in the opening stages of the first half, I thought he had a little wobble.
I thought he really struggled against that number 19. I thought that number 19 played really well. I think he was giving Frimpong nightmares, to be honest, at one point. But attacking-wise, I thought he was brilliant. But it did make me a little bit more nervous about if he's going to be the right back in Premier League games and Champions League games, because, that fella was obviously a tricky customer, but he got past him too many times for me.
There was a guy, again, Brian was going, well, off the back of that conversation was, is Szoboszlai now going to be the right back in the big games? And then literally, I don't think the words had even, like, you know, if it was a cartoon, they'd still be floating out of his mouth. And then Tobo basically gives a penalty away. And obviously, again, completely gets away with it.
Like twice in 2 games on the bounce earlier on when he was playing right back this season as well. I don't like Szoboszlai, and I was very vocal of that at the time of him playing right back. I absolutely love him, and I love actually what Arne Slot did with him in this game as well, dropping him into that too, and playing Curtis Jones in that sort of 10 position as well, because I thought that was really great management by Arne Slot, because I think he expected to see 5 and 6 at the back, really low block, and Szoboszlai's passing range is much better than Curtis Jones, so he was able to just sort of whip the ball over to Chiesa on a switch of play, or Jeremy Frimpong. I thought that worked really well. Curtis Jones a little bit more neat and tidy in those sort of tight spaces. I thought he worked really well, and was a good hors d'oeuvre to Florian Wirtz coming on and doing it like how you're supposed to do it later on in the game. So I think tactically that was really good, but Szoboszlai at right back, he replicates for me what Chen can do with the ball at his feet. but he's just not got the instincts of a defender for me. Like I was watching him instead of the ball at times, and there was times when he was just going and just drifting forwards because he's a midfielder. He wasn't involved in the game, and the wingers just sort of stood there going, "Okay, I won't say anything. I'll stay on side," and he just drifts forward and forward and
Speaking
forward.
about pressing before as well, you know, profiles and things like that. If there's one player who does actually fit the classic Klopp profile, who wants to press and can do it for 90 minutes, it is Szoboszlai. So by playing him right back, you're taking him away from that side of the game as well, which means you probably retreat into even more of a passive block. Everyone hates it. Everyone wants Liverpool to press. So, you know,
and
it goes spirals from there.
In the
midfield, syndrome, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. But in the midfield, what you saw was a couple of chances, one of which leading to their goal, of course, where his reading of the game, plus the energy, plus the pace, gets us out of trouble, you know, allows us to be a bit further up, so if it breaks down, he'll go back and cut it out. So yeah, I thought that was good. But on the Frimpong thing, it's really interesting because his stats have been really skewed by the fact that he just keeps not being given the assists that he's creating. I'm like, he's got 3 assists in his last, and I looked and he's like, well, no, he hasn't because of
2 with deflections.
Yeah, the Tottenham one wasn't given
towards
him.
The left foot one bounced off a shin about a yard
something
away.
Like that, and there was one the other week, the back post one against Fulham wasn't given for him, because if you add them up, he's starting to have a real impact on football matches for us.
Fulham, did they take a nick off
someone? Is that the one for Gakpo backstep?
Yeah,
took a nick off someone, he didn't give him it. Sly, innit?
Yeah, because it loops, doesn't it? Loops towards the back stick.
Well, there's 2 in 2 games. I'm getting confused about which ones. There was a looper.
There's Tottenham Hotspur, he crosses it from the dead ball line.
The Tottenham Hotspur's Hugo Ekitike's header, which was in the air, so that might be Luke.
That's definitely,
Gakpo, he like basically thighs it in at the back post, but I just thought that was a really dangerous cross. It took a deflection.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't alter the path of the ball, but it took a slight deflection, and neither of them were given to him because he's so impactful in the final third
by putting the ball.
Well, it is by all accounts 3 assists and a goal in his last 6 since coming back into the side from a hamstring injury, and obviously he's played right back and right wing and whatever as a mix of that. But it does kind of go to show, like, we were talking about, like,
the flip side of this is McAllister gets 2 assists last night. One for Szoboszlai, one for Frimpong. Did nothing to get those assists.
yeah. But the thing about what you can see in all Frimpong stuff is they're not them. They're not the 5-yard pass to someone who slaloms past 3 men and slams it into the top corner. It's a guy using his pace, getting into dangerous areas, picking someone out, apparently with the aid of tiny deflections that rob him of the assist each time. And then, I mean, Chloe, then you had that goal. Yeah. And this is kind of almost forgotten about him this season. I know there might be some question marks defensively, but right now he just needs to be in Liverpool's team because he's having a positive impact on football matches.
Yeah, he is, and it's nice to see someone who, I mean, he might not back himself when he's one-on-one with the goalkeeper, but he backs himself by taking a ball around a defender and whipping it in, and it's so nice to see a right-footed wing back, winger, right back, whatever the hell he ends up playing in our formation. It's nice to see someone stand someone up, put it past them, and know, instead of, how many times have you seen footballers beat someone and then cut back inside, where once he beats them, he doesn't try and cut back or beat them again. Once he's got that half yard because of his pace, he will whip that ball in, and he's whipping dangerous balls into the box. Sometimes it feels like he doesn't have the power to get it past the first man a couple of times because he's at that much speed. But if someone's running across the front of the box, then that's where the danger will be. But it's just so nice to see because there is, we are slow at times, and we do. It does feel sometimes like, death of a million passes. But when he gets on the ball, you know that if it's only one person and he's not being doubled up upon, he can literally just shift the ball a yard and he's got him. And it's not skill necessarily, it's pure pace, but he will whip the ball in time and time again. And what you saw the other night is the fact that, a lot of players will now start going, okay, well, I know what to expect here. I've got to stay with him down the outside. Well, if he then starts to cut inside as well and showing that he can shoot with that left foot, then, that's even more danger for the fullback because they're not going to know which way to go. And he's got that much pace that he can do either. So I think he's a big, big help to Liverpool. What I will say is we need to understand where he's playing because we've got a major situation at right back and we've got a major situation situation with him. He's had 2 hamstring injuries since he's been here. We cannot overuse the lad just in case. I think Liverpool, they don't trust Calvin Ramsey. I think he would have played the other night if he was trusted. So I think Liverpool have to look at that right-back situation.
Part two, Chloe.
Oh, sorry.
Part two, Chloe.
Sorry. First next.
Breaks. Put the
Don't
brakes on.
ever ask me about Frimpong then.
Part two.
Yeah, that's on you, that, Paul.
Yeah. If only there was a document somewhere.
I talked about Barnsley. He asked about Frimpong to you. You talked transfers. What's Josh going to come up with?
Come on, Josh.
No, stop.
Just quickly, one thing I did find really funny. There was a moment in the game where Frimpong faces up one of their defenders. I'm not sure of his name, and I don't know if you've seen, but he does the Virgil van Dijk looking into Frimpong's eyes. Have you seen it?
No.
Haven't you seen it? No. There's a clip a few years ago. Van Dijk's doing like a social media thing, and he's teaching this presenter how to defend a one-on-one, and the presenter's trying to dribble, and Van Dijk's just looking at him like square in the eye, and the lad looks up and he starts laughing and all that, and Van Dijk goes, I use my eyes sometimes. This fella tries to do it with Frimpong, and there's a still on Twitter now where he's like staring at him like that, and Frimpong just flies past him. So he tries to do like, you can tell he's trying to learn from Van Dijk at the opposite end, and he just fucking
Jeremy, I'm Van Dijk. Oh.
He's literally still looking at him, Frimpong's over there. Honestly, it's funny, mate.
Oh no, I love that. Genuinely love that. Yeah, I mean, just on the last thing on the Frimpong thing is what I like is, and it's kind of what Chloe's sort of alluding to there as well. He's creating assists in different ways. You know, again, that Fulham cross is that's a proper cross. That is like as far right as you're gonna get. It's right across the corridor of uncertainty to a guy at the back stick. The one for Ekitike's header, lofted one. For him there, he's got a couple ones where he's just expertly just cut it back for someone arriving, etc. And then if you're adding the shots as well on top, that's very, very encouraging.
But it's brilliant, isn't it? Because, you know, he's not a one-trick pony. Mm-hmm. We've seen wingers. We've got a winger who likes to cut inside and dink one to the back stick or shoot. Yeah. But with Frimpong, you don't know whether he's going to go inside, and defenders are going to have to look at that now after his goal against Barnsley. They're going to have to respect that. You don't know whether he's going to go outside, don't know whether he's going to take it early, goes to the byline, whatever. Just all tools, isn't it? And then it's just selecting the right one at the right time and mixing it up, and that's what Frimpong's doing.
The one thing I can say about it, you know, as much as it wasn't like scintillating from throughout the entirety of the game, we did go through and do all the things you meant to do. You know, like we got the wingers into play loads. Like it's something we haven't had a lot in recent weeks because of we just haven't had players there. I think about think about Inter Milan. Could be completely different stage, game, importance, etc., etc. But we didn't play anyone in those positions at all. Whereas with Ngumoa on one side and Chiesa, look, it was more fuel to the Chiesa fire of that's why he doesn't get picked. But at the same time, he just facilitated reasonably well. It allowed Frimpong to get up and cause problems.
I thought they linked well because Chiesa was just passing the ball to Frimpong and letting him do the running for him, to be honest with you.
And again, Robertson understands the job at left back, and he understands what Ngumoa is going to do. So one of the things we were chatting about, Ngumoa picks it up wide left. Robertson will ping it into
Robertson
his feet.
Doesn't mind leaving the pitch to go round him.
Yes.
He just doesn't. Whereas Kerkers would be like, "Oh, I'm blocked. I can't go anywhere."
It's like it's a wall. It's not. You can't actually just go around.
See you later. I got to get there. How do I get there? Well, I have to bend me run.
And it wasn't, and it led to a lot of it breaking down. Or and Ngumoa would do some step overs. Maybe you beat the first man, and then what? And a couple of times you got into dangerous situations. But it was just nice to see that from us, and that does kind of lead you back to that thing of like if you did have more actual wingers, it could totally change the dynamic of how we play. Because and Ngumoa at 17 and Frimpong, although again is a right back and technically was playing at right back, we're just doing very Man City wingery things of
any chance Anton Semenyo comes to you,
man. 100%. But that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was definitely something.
Also, I just want to add, I was pretty harsh on Frimpong defensively there, which I think can be improved. He doesn't lack application for the defensive side of the game. And you could accuse that of our last right back
at times. Absolutely. Florian Wirtz, I do want to touch. Can anyone remember what was the game where he got the assist
Frankfurt.
and it wasn't and it wasn't.
You meant his first one,
and it wasn't given.
I thought it was a goal.
It was a goal. The goal wasn't given.
It took a deflection, didn't it? Who the hell was that?
If it comes to if the chat can let us know, do let us know. But I was going back through it. in terms of his like recent games, and I think that's now 7 goal contributions in his last 10 games in all comps, and like just that it's more like it. And I know you'll eventually, if you're trying to prove a point, then adding a goal and assist against Barnsley will absolutely add weight to that point. If you really want to be critical, we should probably take them off because of the quality of the opposition. But in terms of him starting to go through the gears and starting to become much more of a useful asset for us, the 007 thing is now far in the rearview mirror. Yeah, as it was always going to be ultimately. But this is the thing, and you saw it against Barnsley. Because it's funny to say, well, we weren't great, we weren't fluid, but he definitely made us better by coming on. So he had a tangible positive impact, which is what you bought him for. What I'm kind of saying is, yeah, it feels like, I mean, he didn't even play in the 2 worst games, Forest and PSV. He wasn't even involved in those. So actually, since then, and he's come back into the team, you're starting to see the player that we bought. Yeah,
I mean, I think the easiest way to just massively change how you're perceived is scoring goals. Even if you're the worst player on the planet, if you just score a few, if you're bouncing up your knee and things like that, suddenly the perspective on you is completely different. So it's nice that he's starting to add them returns now. I do think there's still a lot that we haven't seen yet. I think you can still definitely unlock him. I think he's improved lately, but the player that we bought, Liverpool don't tend to invest 100 million plus in players, So when they do, it's because they're seriously good, and I don't think we've seen anywhere near the player that he can be. I think we will see more of it. I said this to Chris the other day, that almost the better Liverpool become as a unit, and the more Liverpool can dominate, that then results in more touches for Wirtz. The more touches he gets, the more involved he is, and the more he just kind of gets into that flow state almost. He's that kind of player. So I think as Liverpool improve, as Liverpool keep getting this control, sometimes a bit too much of it almost lately, I think we'll see more and more of him. And you mentioned wide players there. I think if you put red arrows either side of him, again, I think that will unlock a different part of his game where they create more space from him. They open up passing lanes for him to find those players and stuff like that. But it's just a shame that he's come into a team that is, well, for the most part, a little bit broken. I think we're getting there slowly, but you can definitely unlock this player further.
Oh, mate, we did a show a couple of weeks ago where did I have a bet that he'd have more goals and assists than Doku by the end of the season?
Yeah,
right. He's two behind him. Doku's having the best season of his life. Right, that's it. Right now, Doku in the Premier League, 1 goal, 4 assists. Florian Wirtz, 2 goals, 1 assist. Like, it's not inconceivable. He's just going to get better and better, and Doku is probably having his best season. I think everybody thinks that he's had in a City shirt, and if you're just judging him by goals and assists, then I think he will take over. What I love the most about Florian Wirtz right now is that everyone in a red shirt trusts him. Like, he comes on the pitch and everyone goes, "Where's Florian? Give the ball to him." I was trying to think about this. Can anyone name me 22-year-olds who do that at teams? They're few and far between. I couldn't think of one. Listen, lots of people watch more football than I do nowadays. But a 22-year-old who the entire team, a team of league winners, look at and go, "Yeah, have the ball. You will make something happen." That's special.
Yeah. Oh God, absolutely. And you're right. There's probably people, again, the comments will doubtless be filled with loads of good examples, but particularly in that area of the pitch, I think they'll be like wingers.
I was going to say, then I think that's it. I think that happens, but in a different way, where like you're giving the ball to Yamal and you're like, go and create a goal. I think with Wirtz, it's a bit more like make us play. It's a bit more like
into Wirtz and then out whichever way.
Yeah,
you want.
Like
everything goes through him.
Everything goes through him. He'll conduct it, sort of thing, as opposed to like he'll create a chance, which he will do.
A couple of really good through balls in there last night as well, by the way.
Over the top, I think. The top, I think maybe it's Akatika.
Slide rule, one to Gakpo, maybe one on the other side. Sorry, I interrupted you then. What were you saying?
No, I've finished, mate, to be honest.
Okay. Well, we've had a few super chats just to wrap up this bit, and some of this will cross over into the Bias Footy pod, particularly the first super chat here from John Osen, as Alonso sacking puts Slot under more pressure. Probably in some people's minds, but we're going to do. We've got a full section dedicated to Zabi on the Bias Footy pod, which is after this show over on Redmen Plus. So please do come and check that one out if you want more from us on that one. Jono, Do we need to stop banging on about Jurgen? It's like United banging on about Ferguson every time they're shit, which is every game. Yeah, probably.
I think you've got a point there, you know.
Yeah, but it's like anything, isn't it? It's, you know, it's a relationship that ended that you didn't want to end. You know, if he'd been an absolute bastard or he'd led us into shitness, we'd probably be more inclined to like, oh yeah. Like every manager always leaves. Tends to leave on a down note. It's up to the current Liverpool team to make us forget about him, I guess. And then Jono again, thank you so much, says, feels like the fans who've made their minds of wanting Slot out are now just trying to find any negatives they can to back up their takes. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
I think you're spot on.
Yeah. Okay, short break from us. When we return, let's do some transfer talk.
Hello everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining me. I am here to tell you about this incredible giveaway that we are doing for our legend subscribers on Redmen Plus. This is the Craig Johnson signed Crown Paint shirt. It is absolutely glorious. Every single month we give away something to our legends on redmenplus.com. It's a great way of showing your support for the channel. It's a great way to get closer to us as well, because you'll be in the Discord group and there's loads of other benefits, merchandise, discounts, all that type of stuff. But the big one for me would be this. It would be the opportunity to get into the prize draw for these incredible signed items. Craig Johnson Crown Paint shirt signed by the Liverpool legend. Join up this January as a legend on redmenplus.com. Thank you.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Yes, if you haven't already, as I said, do go and check out our brand new app available on the Apple Store and on the Google Play Store as well. And if you enjoyed, do leave a review on there, positive one if you could, please, that'd be great. But yeah, basically, you know, people have asked us a lot of the questions about it. All of the free stuff is now available on there, so it is a one-stop hub. Finally for everything, all in one place. So whether you want to subscribe and get more content and those are the shows that we do as well to really add value to it, then you can do. But if you just want a place where you can listen to our podcast and watch our videos on, one place you can do that as well. And if you choose to subscribe, all of the free stuff that you would normally watch, we also give that ad-free as well. So if you are sick to death of watching this, or you know, the match build-up show, or whatever over on the YouTube channel, and YouTube absolutely spamming you with adverts left, right, and centre, then if you subscribe, then you get those shows without all of that nonsense. You still do have to listen to us, which is a dumb thing, but yeah, none of the external YouTube adverts. And while we're on it as well, do make sure you, if you're into Substack and reading stuff, go and check out Josh's page, Distance Covered, on Substack as well. distancecovered.substack.com.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
No problem. Very, very good stuff indeed. Transfers for what it's worth. We have signed 2 young centre-halves, not necessarily what we were all hoping for, but it is proof that the machine does grind on, I guess. I know so little about these. Does anyone have anything on this at all?
Sadly, Don's not here.
I know.
Yeah, Dan and Doden.
Not well soon, though.
Is it?
And Jai is one of them, I know that much.
And the under-18s manager said, he was quoted as saying he's going to bring the level up. These two are going to bring the level up. That's about all I know about them.
Yeah. Well, I think one of them's 19. I know as much as that, which means that, you know, these won't be too far away from probably being pulled into first team training, and particularly in the coming weeks with what we've got going on.
It's the knock-on effect for the likes of Nallo, maybe go out on loan now, and you're looking at Reece Williams probably leaving the football club.
It's like an alternative way of doing the Kabak loan Ben Davis on a free kind of vibe, innit? Like, we just got in 2 kids instead this time, and maybe they'll make it in the next few months. Maybe they'll just fall off a cliff or whatever. But it's like we've got 2 new additions, but they're not quite the additions that we wanted, similar to a few years ago.
Yeah. What it'd be nice, and look, this is what Leone was, by the way, before I say these words. It'd be nice to have a young lad who is capable of dropping in, and, you know, Reece Williams did that, Nat Phillips did that, you know, years ago now, and both held their own. So to have someone, I mean, and the problem we've got with Amara Nallo is we'll never know. We may never know, because the 2 times he's had to come on the pitch, he's got sent off on both of them, and that might be one of those things that's just him. But it feels like we've got players everywhere who can come in and do a job. If we've got our 15 goalkeepers, you know, we've got young midfielders who haven't got enough time to, you know, enough space for game time. Forwards, we're seeing it with Ngamo. It would be nice to have someone who's around there who doesn't feel miles out of his depth. But again, that might just be Leone, and these might just be under 21s players. the big talking point here, Chris, Bradley out for the season, which we now know, which is obviously devastating. Adds majorly to our issues. It leaves us with Frimpong and Gomez as the right back options, but like Gomez starts at centre-half, starts Barnsley at centre-half. Frimpong does start at right back, but he started right wing the games that have preceded it. There's a case that both are needed elsewhere other than right back, and actually maybe even improve the team by playing in those positions at this point as well. I guess just focusing on Frimpong, do his performances at right wing almost alter the perspective on what we need to do? And I think this could go two ways. It shows you what a pacey winger can do. So does it lean you more towards, well, let's go and buy a pacey winger, or does it say, well, we need to definitely buy another right back so that we can keep Frimpong at right wing?
Or what's going to happen, which is we're not going to buy anyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so the third thing is probably what's going to happen.
Well, there's no conversation in that.
We're not going to buy anybody. Things are going to pot. We're not going to win the Champions League. Is that what you want to hear, everybody? Because I probably think that's the case.
No, that's why we didn't offer the third solution.
So what I'm thinking is, Salah's coming back. He's going to go back into the side at some point, isn't he? So that gives us a little bit more of an option there. But Frimpong's done really, really well there, hasn't he? And that's, I want to see Frimpong carry on in that role because he just gives us pace, which we don't have. Chloe talked about it before. But there's a trade-off, and the trade-off is Joe Gomez is going to get more minutes. Now, that's not a bad trade-off until you factor in his injury records. And at that point, we're going to be left with just Frimpong playing right back.
Yeah.
So you need to sign somebody for me.
Not just that, but who's covering the two centre-halves.
Exactly.
Because Joe Gomez covers the two centre-halves as well. That's why he played last night at centre-half for Ibu Konate, because we know that Ibu Konate has had, big injuries in the past. For me, it's a struggle because Jeremy Frimpong's played in his best football at right wing, and to be honest, I've not seen much of what he can do at right back, because the times when I have seen him at right back, Liverpool it was during the spell where Liverpool in that November were absolutely all over the place, and he's picked up 2 hamstring injuries in that time. And from right wing, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing, but like you mentioned there, Mo Salah comes back. Mo Salah will be back in that side, and he will then be moved right back unless he alternates with Salah. The problem is the cover for Salah as well, because it's not like Salah hasn't played football and has enjoyed several weeks off. Yeah. He's leading his country to try and win the AFCON. That's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of game time. It might not be as intense as the Premier League, but he's also aging himself. So you're going to ask a lot of Jeremy Frimpong. So for me, I'd be looking at getting in a right back, because I think Jeremy Frimpong at times is going to have to play right back. I think he's going to have to, in games, he might start at right back, but he might end up being at right wing, and Joe Gomez might come on the pitch with 15, 20 to go. But the main thing is he's going to be spread along that right side, and therefore you need another body in, because you cannot overuse Jeremy Frimpong and make his hamstring go again, especially when fast players tend to struggle with that injury.
So just jump in there as well. I think the other thing is, I think we have to think a little bit long term on this as well. And I hate to say that, because I absolutely adore Conor Bradley, but I don't know whether his body's made for Premier League football. He's just he's picked up another really bad injury this time by all accounts. Do we have to think long term about that right back position?
I think that's the only way you'll get them to move, though. The only way you will get them to do... They won't sign a player based on 6 months of turbulence, 6 months of, avoiding the squad. For them to move, it would have to be something that is you would do regardless. And I actually think it should be. I think Liverpool this month are mad if they don't sign at least one just defender. Yeah. Just in the brackets of a defender. Mm-hmm. I think you're okay at left back, but centre half, Konate, Van Dijk and Joe Gomez, and then right back Frimpong and Joe Gomez. Come on.
Yeah.
You're taking a massive risk.
He could play 3 of those positions, couldn't he? He could play left centre back, right centre back, and right back.
That's what I struggle with too. Knowing he's right there, you'll be paying a bit more than you want to. You'll be paying a bit more than you'll be paying at the end of the season if you just hang on. But you're taking a massive risk.
I love that 30 million's become a bit more than no millions. By the way, but no, I do take you. Just a smidge more if you get him now.
But the thing is, we're in this spot because of you. It's your fault. That we're here. So pay for it then. Yeah. You know what I mean? He would have been there 6 months ago if you moved. But you tried to be a little bit too clever. Mm-hmm. You waited till the very end of the window and you got stung. You're not even getting them 6 months later by the looks of it. You're waiting for a full year. And Bradley's out for the rest of the season now. Frimpong is barely a right back as far as I'm concerned.
And you needed him at the start of the season before all the injuries.
Yeah, and you want Szoboszlai in your press.
And there's also an issue as well. This is just a mild issue by comparison to all of this. It just goes back to style. Like, if Frimpong's your right back and Gomez is the understudy, I mean, doesn't get loads much more different than that, does it? You know, and you're like, what is the profile of player that you're looking for in there? And if you are dependent upon that, it's like the right wing thing. That's why seeing him right wing has just been a revelation for me. It's just like, oh my god, it's like rewinding the clock 7 years to what Liverpool were in the early days under 2 or 3 seasons in under Klopp, once Salah and Mane and all that had been procured. Like, wow, real pace and attack. And it's like, again, what is the next iteration? What are we looking for? Is it more of that? But that's a stylistic issue. The real issue, as we're saying there, is it's volume of bodies. We're one injury away from like a huge problem in a couple of areas of the pitch. Like if one of Frimpong or Gomez get injured, particularly Frimpong, but if Gomez gets injured, like...
This is why I mentioned the long-term thing, because like, as I said, Liverpool won't do it unless it's a long-term need. But I think regardless of what happens, let's say Conor Bradley's fighting fit or whatever, regardless, you need a defensive addition. You need another centre-back no matter what. I would be cool if Liverpool go and sign a centre-half who can just do bits at right-back if you need him to for the rest of the season. But regardless, you need a defensive addition, 100% in the next 6 months. So just do it now.
Yeah. If Liverpool were in a title charge right now, and this Conor Bradley injury had happened, and Frimpong had the 2 injuries that he has had, do you reckon Liverpool pull the trigger then? Because there is, you're paying it back off if you were to win that title. Do you reckon it's because Liverpool have gone, well, we're not actually, that's not going to make us title charges, and would actually probably, I mean, this is not how I think Liverpool should go and do it, but my point is, do you reckon they think because, well, we're really only we're fighting for top 4 and we're doing that right now.
It's technically been budgeted for, you know what I mean? This is also the thing.
This is it.
Yeah.
It was supposed to happen.
Yeah, unless we were getting some mad money out of AC Milan for Gomez, which is like, come on. There's no way that was anything other than a loan with an option to buy.
100%. That's what the Italian clubs do, isn't
that?
Or
like a split ownership with three Italian.
For what it's worth, I am not sure it would even make a difference, to be honest. And the reason to say that is because we have previous of this where we're leading the league arguably at a cancer a few years ago, and Van Dijk is out for the season. Matip gets injured too. Gomez, I think, as well.
Yeah, that's true.
And we had Konate lined up for the summer. Probably could have paid a bit more to move forward 6 months. Maybe it would have been a hefty premium. We don't know. But they didn't. They waited until the summer and they got in short-term options in the meantime.
The difference for me between that and maybe now, and I agree, by the way, is that it's Van Dijk. And Van Dijk's a superstar and he's the best centre-half on the planet. No one can argue otherwise at the time. So it's a really heavy loss for you. Konate doesn't probably propel you to win the league and a Champions League or whatever because you're just missing Van Dijk. That's a problem. I think we're writing this season off too early, to be honest, by inaction. I think, yes, for FSG or whatever, getting in the Champions League is their absolute minimum requirement, but I want an FA Cup and I want to run a Champions League, and I think we can still do that if we get the right additions in. Yeah, and we have to play much better as well, by the way, don't get me wrong. I don't like this. Let's just fucking get in the top 4 and crack on next season. No, it's a bit jarg, to be honest.
Especially when that superstar you've just mentioned, Virgil, signed a 2-year contract and this has been 1 year. And if you do that, you've basically just wasted a year at one of his last years of Virgil van Dijk as well. For me, like you said there, Mark Gay was the person we wanted. He was in a Liverpool training kit about to sign for us. And now it didn't get over the line. Now you're hearing that all of these other sides are wanting him as well. You've still not got the situation with Ibu Konate. Ibu Konate, he still might not sign. Real Madrid might not want him anymore, but he still might not sign a new contract if he doesn't get the wages that he wants at Liverpool. And that Mark Gay is, you know, like we mentioned, he does usually play on Virgil's side, but
he's right-footed though.
It would really help us if, you know, we had someone else who could. I think Konate's over his spell, but during that spell, to just basically, you know, have some competition there, lads, with Mark Gay, who would have been there.
But look at the Barnsley game. Gomez starts alongside Van Dijk. What a wonderful throwback that was, by the way. Gomez has to come off, and he comes on for Konate. Yeah. So
it was a rusty first 10 as well.
Yeah, really was. But Gomez should have been. I was like, the smart move here is Konate comes on for Van Dijk, and then they've both had 45. We've done that before, but they can't trust Gomez to go the full distance because he's only coming back himself. So Verge has just played another full game of football at 30. What is he? 35? Yeah, 34, 35. You know, he's probably been going through the pain barrier himself this season. It's just the centre half thing's so blindingly obvious, and the only thing that maybe we can't have insight into. It's just Gay, you know, like where's his head at? Where's his head at now? In our head, it was all done and agreed. So there's obviously a certain, you know, they must be pretty sort of copacetic in terms of like their agreements, you know, on what's going to happen. But
it'll only be doing anyway because he's going to need a fat signing on fee for any club he moves to.
But I mean more. Has he gone? I've told Palace I've committed to Palace for the season now, and that's what I've done. And if he's done that, he might not be as desperate for the move the way
my worry is though that someone comes in Manchester City and just goes, here's a blank check, mate, fill it in. You know, and we'll do it now, and you'll sit on the board of Emirates Oil or something and get a second job. And we'll just do it something like that, you know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah. Wrong company, but you get me points.
Yeah. That's whatever. Airways. That's what City do, isn't it? So that will definitely exist there. It's just
that plays into what I'm talking about, though. That feels like an unnecessary risk. So just if you can get him now, you know, that's a crucial asterisk in there. If you can, like, I mean, as you say, we don't know his state of mind at the moment, but
it could be as much just him rather than Palace as well.
Yeah, if he's agreed to do it in 6 months, just fucking do it now.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Is it that complicated?
You're right, though, isn't it? It's the one thing that's remained fixed, because everything else we kind of said, well, Frimpong's given us a little glimpse at what could happen if you've got a really pacey winger on that right-hand side, and equally more of him at right-back could offer some different things. But, like, Gay, he would literally come in and play.
Exactly.
And everyone else would go, Virgil and Konate would probably go, oh my God, thank God. Right. Okay, sound. And there's a world where it gives Konate a little bit of a kick up the arse as well. And I know Slot was saying when he was asked, I think it was Mo Stewart asked this a few weeks ago in a press conference about Gakpo not having, you know, like a proper understudy or whatever. And he kind of shooed it off and said, well, no, actually, I think some players perform better for having the certainty that they're going to be playing. But I think really good players do thrive on the challenge as well. And Konate's been so odd this season. We've always had loads of centre halves. They've always been in a degree of rotation because we've never been able to keep them consistently fit. It would be interesting to see what would happen from that. You might just find we get a nice world where you get a little bit extra out of Konate. You get some rest for Virgil van Dijk, and we've bedded in a new player.
And the rumours are that Virgil van Dijk and Ibu Konate have both been playing injured this season as well, and they've had to. Well, yeah. No shit.
If that's true, that would add to my annoyance.
This is what I was going to say. This is what's annoying. Like, by not doing it, by standing still, you're making everyone's life harder, including the manager. You're making his job. You've made his job so much harder this season versus last season, and you're making Konate's job harder. You're making Van Dijk's job harder because they're just having to do more, shoulder more of the workload, you know, feel the pressure more and stuff like that. It would be a lot easier if you just bit the bullet, but
we've run out of time. But I'm going to push it for one last question because it's the other consideration in this. what if they've got one eye on changing the manager in the summer?
The coach doesn't matter to what we're doing.
Well, that's literally the point of a sporting director. The idea of a sporting director is you build the squad not necessarily for the manager, for Liverpool, and the guy in charge manages it, really.
That's why Amarim never got down to the short list, isn't it? Because he wouldn't move on 3 at the back. And
again, going back to that long-term point, regardless, you could have Aaron Pardew in charge. You need a centre half. You
definitely need one for him.
You need at least one. There's an argument we might need 4 in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
So you need one. Just get him now. We could really do with him now. Yeah. It's very annoying.
It would make everyone feel loads better. But yeah, there we go. Listen, more from us. Josh is going to step out. He's admirably performed in Dan's absence, but he's also got a life. So he's going to leave us here. Make sure you check him out, of course, on Distance Go with that on the Deep Dive with Chris as well. But yeah, we're going to be over on the Bias Football Pod. We're going to do a little bit more about Crystal Palace's plight and whether them being out of the domestic cups does turn heads ever so slightly. Xabi Alonso's availability, having left Real Madrid or been kicked out of Real Madrid, however you look at it, and a few other really interesting bits and pieces. So yeah, head over to Redmen Plus, get the app, subscribe, and see us over there. Ta-ra.